Have you ever stopped to think that there are three silent enemies that could be destroying your arteries without you even noticing? Inflammation, blood clots, and cholesterol buildup are the main culprits behind clogged blood vessels, but do you know where they come from? Is sugar really as dangerous as they say? And those fats you use every day, could they be increasing your risk of a heart attack or stroke? In this video, I'll also show you which foods are most toxic to your body and how you can replace them with options that truly help clean your arteries and protect your circulation. You'll be amazed at the difference small choices can make. My name is Kenji Oshiro, and this is the Global Health Guide channel. Subscribe now so you don't miss content that can transform your health in a practical and accessible way. When we talk about heart health, many people believe that simply avoiding fat is enough to stay protected. But the reality is much more complex. What really starts to damage your arteries isn't just fat, but the constant inflammatory state your body can enter. The inside of your arteries is lined with a layer of cells called the endothelium. These cells act as a protective barrier, preventing cholesterol, platelets, and white blood cells from sticking there. When the endothelium is healthy, blood flows freely without blockages. The problem begins when this endothelium becomes unhealthy. This happens for several reasons: a sedentary lifestyle, obesity, smoking, high blood pressure, and above all, the way we eat. A diet poor in nutrients and rich in ultra-processed foods opens the door to chronic inflammation, visceral fat buildup, and the formation of plaques in the arteries. These plaques, when they rupture, can create clots that block blood flow, resulting in heart attacks, strokes, and even kidney diseases. But what accelerates this process the most is sugar. Despite being present in almost all industrialized products, many people still believe it's harmless. White sugar, brown sugar, or even refined sugar in different forms, when consumed in excess, forces the pancreas to produce large amounts of insulin. This causes some of that sugar to turn into fat stored in the abdomen. This fat, in turn, releases inflammatory substances that directly attack the endothelium. And that's where the real danger begins. An inflamed endothelium stops protecting your arteries. Bad cholesterol, LDL, starts to stick more easily, platelets clump together trying to fix the damaged area, and white blood cells are drawn in to fight the inflammation. The result is a real mess inside the blood vessels, leading to partial or complete blockages of blood flow. Now think about this. How many times a week do you consume sodas, sweets, white bread, ready-made sauces, or even foods that seem innocent, like boxed yogurts? All of them hide large amounts of sugar. This excess not only overloads the pancreas and increases visceral fat production, but also becomes addictive. Studies have shown that sugar activates brain areas similar to those stimulated by cigarettes or even cocaine, creating dependency and making you crave more and more. And there's more. When you consume too much sugar, you're not providing vitamins, minerals, or fiber to your body. You're just adding empty calories that harm your health in the long run. The impact is so significant that cardiovascular health experts now point to sugar as one of the main fuels for modern chronic diseases. Of course, giving up sugar isn't easy. At first, foods may seem bland, you might feel irritable, or even lack energy. But the good news is that your body adapts. After 2 or 3 weeks, your taste buds start to change. Natural foods begin to taste better, satiety improves, and inflammation levels drop significantly. A practical strategy is to start reducing added sugar in beverages. If you usually sweeten your coffee or tea, try gradually cutting down the amount until you eliminate it completely. Another tip is to replace industrialized sweets with fresh fruits or high cocoa content chocolate, always above 70%. Cocoa is rich in antioxidants that help fight cholesterol oxidation, further protecting your arteries. And before we move on, I want to hear from you. Have you ever tried cutting or reducing sugar from your routine? How was that experience? Share in the comments because it can help others facing the same challenge. If there's a topic full of myths in nutrition, it's fat. For a long time, we heard that all fat was bad and needed to be eliminated from the diet at all costs. But today we know that view is overly simplistic and even dangerous. The truth is, there are bad fats, which truly clog and inflame your arteries, and good fats, which do the opposite. They protect your heart and even help lower bad cholesterol levels. So, how do you tell them apart? Bad fats are mainly divided into two groups: trans fats and excessive saturated fats. Trans fats are the worst of all. They're created when the industry chemically alters vegetable oils to increase the shelf life and texture of products. The problem is that once in our bodies, these fats are highly inflammatory, raising LDL cholesterol and lowering HDL cholesterol, the good kind. They're found in snacks, filled cookies, margarine, packaged fried foods, ultra-processed fast foods, and even some industrialized breads. Saturated fats, on the other hand, are naturally present in foods like fatty red meats, yellow cheeses, butter, and processed meats. When consumed in excess, they also raise bad cholesterol and promote the formation of arterial plaques. This doesn't mean you can never eat red meat again, but the ideal is to choose lean cuts and limit consumption to 2 or 3 times a week, balancing with fish, poultry, and plenty of vegetables. And why is this detail so important? Because when these bad fats accumulate in the bloodstream, they oxidize easily. Oxidized LDL is one of the main triggers for the formation of atherosclerotic plaques, those that narrow the arteries and can rupture, causing heart attacks or strokes. Additionally, the inflammation they cause makes platelets clump together, forming clots that block blood flow. Now let's talk about good fats, which are true allies for cardiovascular health. They're found in foods like extra virgin olive oil, avocados, flax seeds, chia seeds, walnuts, almonds, and other nuts. We also find these good fats in fish rich in omega-3, such as salmon, sardines, mackerel, and fresh tuna. These fatty acids have an anti-inflammatory effect, help reduce triglyceride levels, and protect the endothelium from oxidation. Studies show that populations that regularly consume fish and nuts have significantly lower rates of cardiovascular diseases. The Mediterranean diet, for example, widely studied in recent decades, is rich in olive oil, fish, and vegetables, and has been linked to greater longevity and lower heart attack risk. But be careful. Even good fats need to be consumed in moderation. A small handful of nuts per day is enough to bring benefits. Olive oil should preferably be used raw, in salads, or as a finishing touch, as it loses some of its properties when heated to very high temperatures. Now, besides fats, there's another silent enemy: refined flours. Did you know that when you eat white bread, cakes, regular pasta, or cookies, the effect on your body is very similar to eating pure sugar? That's because refined flours are quickly digested and turned into glucose, raising blood sugar levels and forcing the pancreas to release excess insulin. The result is visceral fat buildup, inflammation, and once again, damage to the endothelium. That's why the recommendation is clear: reduce refined flours as much as possible and opt for whole grain versions. Whole grain breads and pastas retain fiber, vitamins, and minerals that help slow glucose absorption, avoiding insulin spikes. Plus, they promote longer-lasting satiety and nourish gut flora with fiber that acts as prebiotics. And speaking of fiber, here's a key point for artery health. When you consume soluble fiber, like that found in oats, it forms a gel in the intestine that helps reduce the absorption of bad cholesterol. It also slows digestion, better controls blood sugar levels, and feeds the good bacteria in your gut. These bacteria produce substances that improve immunity, reduce inflammation, and even positively influence mood. Think of a plate of white rice versus a plate of brown rice. The first turns into glucose quickly in your blood. The second releases energy slowly and steadily, without harming the endothelium. That's why swapping refined foods for whole grains is a simple step with a huge impact on preventing cardiovascular diseases. By the way, I'd love to hear from you. Do you usually choose whole grain bread or still stick to traditional white bread? Share in the comments, because exchanging experiences can open people's eyes to the difference. Now that you understand the dangers of sugar, bad fats, and refined flours, we need to talk about the true natural allies that can protect your arteries: antioxidants. Every time you hear about bad cholesterol, know that it only becomes truly dangerous when it oxidizes in the body. That's when it starts damaging the endothelium and forming unstable plaques that can rupture at any moment. But there's a simple way to reduce this risk. Ensure your diet is rich in antioxidants. And where do we find these substances? Mainly in fruits, vegetables, legumes, seeds, and some natural beverages. Red wine, for example, is known to contain resveratrol, a powerful antioxidant that protects cells from oxidation. This doesn't mean you should drink wine every day, but small occasional amounts can bring some benefits. For those who don't consume alcohol, whole grape juice offers similar compounds without the alcohol's effects. Another incredibly rich source of antioxidants is red fruits, like blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, and pomegranates. These fruits fight inflammation, reduce oxidative stress, and strengthen immunity. The same goes for vegetables like beets, spinach, and tomatoes, which carry protective substances against premature cell aging. And we can't forget green tea. Studies show that regular green tea consumption is linked to lower bad cholesterol and improved endothelial function. That's because it contains catechins, antioxidants that directly prevent oxidation and reduce inflammatory processes. 1 or 2 cups a day can already make a difference. Another standout food is dark chocolate, but be careful. We're not talking about milk chocolate or industrialized sweets. Only versions with high cocoa content above 70% have enough antioxidants to bring benefits. Even then, the amount should be moderate. A small square is enough to enjoy the effects without overdoing the calories. Besides antioxidants, we can't overlook the most basic factor for health: water. Proper hydration is essential to keep blood flowing easily and to help eliminate toxins. Many people think they need juices, sodas, or energy drinks to stay hydrated, but nothing beats pure, clean water. And of course, adjusting your diet alone won't help if your lifestyle remains sedentary. Exercise is one of the best medicines for your arteries. Walking, cycling, swimming, or even climbing stairs daily already makes a difference. Studies show that regular physical activity improves endothelial function, boosts circulation, and reduces cardiovascular risk factors. You don't need to start with something intense. The key is to stay active. Another essential point is maintaining a healthy weight, controlling diabetes, and quitting smoking. Smoking is one of the biggest enemies of the endothelium, dramatically increasing the risk of heart attack and stroke. If you smoke, seeking help to quit is one of the best investments in your health and your family's. See how everything is connected? The inflammation caused by excess sugar, the blockages from bad fats, and the overload from refined flours can be counterbalanced when you include fiber, antioxidants, good fats, and an active lifestyle. There's no single miracle food that will clean your arteries overnight, but rather the sum of small choices made every day. And now I want to hear from you. Which of these changes do you find the hardest? Cutting down on sugar, reducing refined flours, or swapping bad fats for good ones? Share in the comments because your experience can inspire others to take the first step. If this content was helpful to you, share it with someone who needs this information. Also, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the Global Health Guide channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our upcoming content. Here, you'll always find practical, science-based information to take care of your health.